So Charlie just laid down right here as I'm getting ready to walk over here. I'm making supper. We're having some raw meat. Just Gwen's over there. She's leaning way forward right now, but you know. So we got one thing figured out today. I haven't told you either of the things, actually, so there's that. But we got one of the things that I haven't told you. One of the two things that I haven't told you, kind of figured out today. So she's kind of for a while had, I think even at like previous doctor's appointments and stuff, had just like on the creases of her arms and the creases of like behind her knee, where it's dry, and sometimes her cheeks get like red and dry. And I haven't thought too much about it because for a while I was just like, well, maybe it's just like the cold weather, and it was never very bad. It was just kind of like pink and dry. Hi, baby. So anyway, that thing, which has kind of been a thing for a while, but the last couple of days it was a little, sorry about this, Ziggy, a little more than, sorry, I thought I heard something, a little more than usual, so I was like, well, I'll get it checked out and see. Thought it might be, I was starting to think maybe it's eczema, and took her to the doctor this morning, and he pretty much confirmed that it was eczema. He was like, well, your mom should be a doctor. It is eczema. Talking to Gwen about me. Although it wasn't just me that thought it might be eczema, but whatever the case, it is eczema. They gave me, he prescribed me two creams, pretty much. One that's a little stronger, and he said to put that on her in the morning when she gets up and before I put her to bed. And then another one that isn't as strong, and said to put that on her, never, like, not to put them on, ever put them on at the same time, because why would I anyway, but to put the less strong one on, like, anytime pretty much anytime I change her, every few hours, every 2 or 3 hours type thing. So just like whenever I change her, to put it on, and it like on like the creases and stuff of her arms and her legs. And I asked if I could put them on her cheeks, and he said that the one would be fine to put on her cheeks if she needs it, but the stronger one to, like, it would be okay, but don't put that one on her cheeks as much. So that's kind of where we're at. We got that figured out. I just put it on for the first time like maybe 5 minutes ago, like right before I started talking to you guys. Poor baby, she's leaning forward. Hi, are you leaning so forward? Hi, I love you. Hi. And the other thing, which I also mentioned to the doctor, but I had it kind of, I'm working on getting it figured out, or getting it taken care of before I even like took her into the doctor or whatever. But he asked if there was anything else or whatever. Well, asked her if there's anything else going on, and I figured I might as well mention it while we were there. And so she's possibly a little behind on some stuff. Mainly, well, she's been kind of behind on stuff, but she's like eventually done most of those things, like lifting up her head, which I don't know if I mentioned in previous videos or not, that she was behind on when she was doing tummy time and stuff, lifting her head up. She wouldn't do it for the longest time. She got to like 5 months and still wasn't doing it and stuff. And I worked with her, my mom worked with her when she was around and stuff, and she's doing that, and she doesn't like tummy time, but she's doing better and better during tummy time, and she lifts her head up and stuff during that time, and obviously can lift her head up now. She's watching Charlie. But the leg thing, she's, I don't think I said it, but her legs, she's not really putting a whole lot of pressure on her legs. She moves them a lot, and sometimes if you're doing like the bicycle motion with her legs, or whatever motion you want to call that, I usually go run, 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 stop. But anyway, if you're doing that motion, sometimes she'll lock her legs so you can't like run them like on purpose. She'll lock her legs so you can't move them as easily. So she is able to like straighten them out, and she's able to like lock them, putting them straight and like lock them like that. She's able to control her legs and stuff. It's just for whatever reason she's not putting pressure on them. I don't know if it's because she doesn't like to stand up or whatever. Right now she's just kind of holding them up for the most part. So I don't know if it's just because she's choosing not to or because she can't, but I mentioned it to the doctor, and he kind of like lifted her up to see if she would stand up for him or whatever, and she wasn't putting pressure on her legs really for him, like at all. She was completely lifting them up. Wasn't even like nowhere near, which made me feel kind of good. I mean, it doesn't make me feel good that she's in that place, but it made me feel good that like I didn't look like an idiot by saying something and then have it not be the case. But yeah, so anyway, there's a lady coming on Wednesday to check that out, I think. I don't know if she said something about there being some paperwork, so I don't know if it's just going to be paperwork this week and then she'll come back, or if she'll do both. I don't know. We'll see. But that's what's going on with Gwen right now. She's happy as can be. And of course, there's her eye situation. I think most of that, I don't think the eczema has anything to do with it, but I think a lot of the development stuff that she's dealing with is related to her being like, I don't know, almost like premature, although I'm not sure if premature is the right word, but like being born, like growing, or stopping growing a little bit early. She stopped growing at like 37 weeks, which they should be fully formed by then, but of course the longer they're in, the better. And they didn't deliver her, she wasn't born until her due date, but she stopped growing about 3 weeks early, which they were aware of, and that's why they made sure to take her on her due date. They would have gladly taken her if she wanted to come before that, but they didn't want her to go any later than her due date because she had stopped growing and there could be complications. So I think we're kind of seeing some of the result of that now, but I'm not worried about her not reaching certain levels, especially if we get the help that we may need. And we may not need help. Maybe they'll just be like, oh, maybe she'll just be a little behind on growing, and she seems like she's doing fine everywhere else. Maybe they won't think she even needs the extra help and might just encourage me to keep working with her or whatever. But especially if she gets help, I think she'll be fine. Even if she's a little behind on some stuff, I'm sure by like preschool, she'll be up with everybody else. I had a cousin, she actually got married 2 days ago, this past Saturday, and so there's that. But I didn't realize all of that. I knew that, well, my cousin was a preemie, a real preemie. She was born like 2 or 3 months early. Ugh, my hand's hurting. She was born 2 or 3 months early, and so had some complications and stuff. She was in the hospital for a while since she was so early. There might have been a couple scares. I don't really remember. I don't know all the details. I was pretty young when it happened. But apparently they told her, or told her mom and stuff, that she would probably never walk. And my cousin, my lovely cousin Gracie, I'm not super close with her, but about as close as any of my other cousins, as I am with any of my other cousins. She didn't learn to walk till she was 3, but she did learn to walk. And at this point in her life, although way before this point, but at this point in her life, being an adult, and I don't know, she's graduated college or high school. She's in college. She's gonna be a sophomore, I think, in college. She's married to a great, what seems from what I've seen, a great guy. I don't think there's anything that differentiates her from anybody else. She doesn't have any mental problems. She's mature and she's completely able to be on her own. I mean, she's not, like I said, there's no mental problems. She hasn't had any, maybe in elementary school, I don't know, but as far as I know, she hasn't had any like extra help in school. She's gotten great grades. She's, like I said, she's in college. She's going to be a teacher. There was nothing wrong with her. And I don't know. It gives me hope. Like, she was super early, and she did walk. She didn't start she did walk late. Start walking late. She started walking at 3, but they said that she would never walk, and she started walking at 3 years old. So, and like I said, by now she's like 20. I don't know, maybe 19, 20 years old, something like that. And she's perfectly fine. She's healthy. She has no deficits. Is that the right word? Deficits, no defects. Nothing wrong with her. And so that little fact that she's doing fine and stuff, even though she was born like 3 months early, and they said she would never walk, and now she's perfectly fine. She's walking. She's been walking since she was 3. Like I said, she was a little behind on that, but I have no worries for Gwen, who was born kind of 3 weeks early. She was born on her due date, but because she stopped growing 3 weeks early, it's like she was born 3 weeks early. But 3 weeks early is definitely different from 3 months early, and I don't think it will take her till 3 years old or after to walk, but it might take her a little extra long. I guess this is what this video is going to be about. I didn't really mean for that, but whatevs. Because another thing that reminds me of is this boy. I hope I have you in the frame. There was this boy, well, maybe I shouldn't say his name, but I don't think anybody would watch this or know who I was talking about unless they worked at the daycare with me. But there's a little boy, and he was kind of annoying because he was super fussy, but I don't know if that was anything related or not. But he, the daycare, when I worked at the daycare, we had kids that were between the ages of 1 and 2. So they'd usually come into our class at 1 and be in there till 2. Or like sometimes they come in earlier, or if they were new to the daycare, they might come in after they just like not right at 1 or whatever. But if they were in that age range, they were in my class. And like I said, sometimes earlier, there was a little boy, Ben, who started in my class. He started walking at like 9 months and came into our class when he was like 10 months because he's crazy. Not crazy, but he's just crazy developed and stuff. He's really smart. I need to put this down. I need to put this down because I need 2 hands. Hi. But anyway, this isn't about Ben. So this boy that we had in our daycare, that he wasn't walking when he came in, which a lot of them weren't. Maybe about half, maybe most of them were walking when they came into our classroom, or very close to walking, like they would need support or whatever. But we had a couple that weren't walking like at all. Maybe probably crawling, but like weren't walking at all when they came in. This little boy, he wasn't walking. He wouldn't attempt to put his legs down at all at a year, and he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't crawl. He wouldn't attempt to put his legs down, like to put pressure on his legs, none of that. And so that was a thing. But by the time he was out of my class, he was walking, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they would have moved him up without that. So it took him a while, but by 2, I don't know how long it had been. But by the time he was 2, he was walking, but it took a long time. But I am pretty sure that he did have a therapist or something, or whatever you call it, helping him to work on putting pressure on his legs and walking and stuff. And of course he eventually learned to walk, and I'm sure everything else was fine with him mentally and all that jazz. He was probably fine. But, I don't know. Just knowing about these other situations makes me feel a little bit better. Hey, Gwen! What are you doing? Just kind of holding her neck weird. Hey, what are What are you doing? Hi, I love you. Hi, cute baby. So I think she'll be fine. But we got one of the things taken care of today. She's got shiny cheeks because I put some of that stuff on her. I need to work on food. I'm getting distracted, and talking to you and holding this is not helping. So I will talk to you guys probably in the next video, but that's what's going on today. And then Wednesday the other lady's coming, but I'll try to talk to you tomorrow, maybe. Okay. Bye!